A children's birthday balloon started the most destructive wildfire in the history of the state of Georgia. Not a lightning strike, not a downed power line from a storm. A foil balloon, the kind tied to a chair at a 6-year-old's birthday party, drifted into a power line in Brantley County, Georgia, created an electrical arc, and ignited ground so dry it caught fire like paper. Within 48 hours, that spark had become 22,000 acres of burning pine forest. Within 72 hours, more than 90 homes were gone. More homes destroyed by wildfire than at any single moment in Georgia's recorded history. And as of right now, the fire is 6% contained. Stay with me. Because the balloon is not the story. The balloon is the trigger. The story is what was waiting underneath it, and what is still waiting across 91 counties, across 2 states, in a region that has not seen meaningful rain since September. There are details about what is burning in South Georgia right now that Governor Brian Kemp's press conference did not cover. Details about what Hurricane Helene left behind in 2024 that made this disaster not just possible, but inevitable. Details about what happens next if the rain does not come. We are going through all of it. There are 2 fires. That is the first thing to understand. And they are not random blazes on a map. The Highway 82 fire ignited on April 20th, 2026, near Nahunta in Brantley County, Georgia. It started at 600 acres. By Tuesday, April 22nd, it had exploded, not grown, exploded, destroying dozens of homes in a single afternoon. The fire exhibited extreme and rapid growth, doubling in size over the weekend across 22,000 acres, burning aggressively with wind-driven runs. As of today, it sits at 22,615 acres. It is 6% contained. Wildfire explorer Georgia Governor Brian Kemp confirmed the cause. A children's party balloon with a metallic foil coating drifted onto a power line, created a spark, and caught the ground on fire. WTOC TV. The second fire, the Pineland Road Fire, started 2 days earlier on April 18th in Clinch County near the Florida border. It was caused by a stray spark from a welding operation, fueled by dry pine woods, dense vegetation, and dead timberland left over from Hurricane Helene. It now stands at 32,131 acres. It is 10% contained. Wildfire Explorer. Together, these 2 fires have consumed more than 54,000 acres of South Georgia and destroyed more than 120 homes. Governor Kemp said it directly. The 2 most dangerous, biggest problematic fires anywhere in the United States are right here in South Georgia. WTOC TV. He said that on Friday. The fires have continued to grow since. Here is the detail that should stop you cold. Every firefighter in Brantley County is a volunteer. News 4 Jacks. This is not a rural footnote. This is the operational reality on the ground. 225 firefighters deployed for structure protection in Brantley County. All of them volunteers. Some of them have been on the line for days, and at least 2 of them have gone home, or tried to find that their homes no longer exist. 2 firefighters I know have lost their homes, said Don Dean, Brantley County Family Connection Executive Director. WTOC TV. On Tuesday afternoon, the fire erupted. It moved faster than the evacuation orders could keep up with. Brittany Quinn, a mother in Brantley County, had 30 minutes. She grabbed her daughter, grabbed her pets, and left her home at 12:20 in the afternoon. Around 30 minutes later, she checked her home surveillance cameras and watched her house burn to the ground. CNN. My babies lost their home and the only place they felt safe, she said. Now we have nothing. Grandparents Elizabeth and Tony Spear had the same experience. Fire trucks came down the road and said we had to leave immediately, Elizabeth Spear recalled. I threw a few things in a bag, our medicine, cell phone, charger, just very minimum, and went flying out the door. CNN. Around 4,000 homes remained under evacuation orders as of Friday. CNN. The fire was still moving. Here is what is not making headlines. This disaster was built over 18 months. It did not start on April 20th. It started in September 2024 when the rain stopped. And then when Hurricane Helene came through, Georgia has seen just 11 inches of rain since the beginning of September. Nearly 15 inches below normal, according to the National Weather Service. News 4 Jacks, 98% of the state of Georgia is currently experiencing moderate to exceptional drought. The combination of months of well below average rainfall, high winds, and extremely dry timber has created a highly combustible environment across the entire region. Wildfire Explorer. And then there is what Helene left behind. Hurricane Helene made landfall on September 26, 2024, as a Category 4 storm. It killed more than 230 people across the southeast. It devastated western North Carolina, and when it tore through South Georgia, it knocked down millions of trees. Those trees were never fully cleared. They dried out over the winter. They became what fire scientists call a fuel load. Dead timber, packed on the forest floor, bone dry after 6 months of drought, scattered across thousands of acres of Georgia pine forest. The fires are being intensified by extreme drought, gusty winds, and dead trees left behind by Hurricane Helene in 2024, which has created an exceptionally volatile fuel load across the region. Newsweek. The foil balloon did not start a fire in a normal forest. It started a fire in a forest that had been preparing to burn for 6 months. The conditions have forced the Georgia Forestry Commission to issue a mandatory 30-day outdoor burn ban, the first mandatory ban of its kind in the agency's history. News 4 Jacks, the first in history. That sentence deserves a pause. Now, pull back. Because what is happening in Georgia is not an isolated event. Georgia and Florida firefighters have been battling more than 150 wildfires combined, an unusually high number for this time of year. Newsweek. In Florida, a volunteer firefighter died from a medical emergency while battling the Old Dixie Highway fire in Hilliard, just across the Georgia border. He was not killed by the fire. He died fighting it. The smoke from these Georgia fires has not stayed in Georgia. Air quality warnings have been issued across parts of the southeast, with haze and smoke odor reported in the Atlanta metropolitan area, and unhealthy air for sensitive groups as far away as Columbia, South Carolina. Newsweek Atlanta is 300 miles from Brantley County. The smoke reached it anyway. And the state of emergency in Georgia is not for Brantley County alone. A state of emergency has been declared for 91 counties in South Georgia to mobilize all necessary response efforts, including the deployment of the Georgia National Guard. Wildfire Explorer, 91 counties. Georgia has 159 counties total. More than half the state is operating under emergency conditions. The Georgia Forestry Commission has responded to dozens of new wildfires, burning thousands of acres over the last 72 hours, in addition to the 2 major uncontained incidents. Wildfire Explorer, the Highway 82, fire and the Pineland Road Fire are not the whole crisis, they are the top of it. Here's what makes the geography of this disaster different from California or Arizona or the American West, where most people picture wildfire. South Georgia is not mountainous terrain. It is flat. It is covered in dense pine forest. It is threaded with swamps, lowlands, and coastal waterways. When those lowlands dry out, and right now they are as dry as anyone in the region has ever seen them, they do not slow a fire. They accelerate it. Pine and hardwood forests in the region are helping charge the fires, and swampy lowlands with thick layers of leaves and woody debris are super flammable when they dry out, according to Georgia Forestry Commission spokesperson Seth Hawkins. News 4 Jacks, flat terrain plus pine forest plus swamp debris plus zero moisture plus wind equals a fire that does not behave like a wildfire most Americans recognize from the news. It moves laterally, it moves fast, and it moves into neighborhoods that have no natural fire break. No ridge, no river, no canyon wall to slow it down. Brantley County Manager Joey Kaysen put it plainly. It could jump another road while we're standing here. WTUG-TV. That is the operating reality. Not a projection, not a forecast. A statement made in real time while standing in the county watching the fire move. The evacuation zones in Brantley County cover areas bounded by Highway 32, Highway 82, Highway 110, and Post Road. The fire has crossed county lines, officially making it a multi-county incident impacting Brantley, Wayne, and Glynn counties. Wildfire Explorer. It is still moving. Here is something that did not make the national coverage. Local agricultural operations have been severely impacted, including the emergency evacuation of thousands of beehives by Swan's Honey. Wildfire Explorer, thousands of beehives, moved in the middle of a wildfire emergency, because South Georgia is not just forest, it is farmland. It is cattle operations. It is timberland that families have managed for generations. The Highway 82 fire is not burning through empty wilderness. It is burning through the working landscape of rural Georgia, through the operations that people built their lives around, and the losses in agriculture, in timber, in livestock will not appear in the home count. They will appear in the next 5 years, in farms that do not recover, in timber that does not grow back fast enough, in beekeepers who relocate and do not come back. While donations have been coming in from across the country, what communities say they actually need right now is campers and RVs, something displaced families can stay in long-term beyond temporary shelters. CNN, not a one-time donation, not a Red Cross cot for a week, a place to live. Because when your home burns to ash in 30 minutes, the emergency does not end when the fire is contained. The emergency is just beginning. And here's the problem no press conference is fully reckoning with. While scattered showers have been forecast, officials have stressed that several inches of rain, possibly repeated rainfall, would be needed to fully extinguish the largest fires. Newsweek, several inches, repeated, in a region that is 15 inches below normal rainfall since September, in a region where red flag warnings have been issued across much of north, central, and eastern Georgia, with critical fire weather conditions expected due to dry vegetation, low relative humidity dropping to 25% or lower, and sustained winds of 8 to 15 miles per hour with gusts up to 30, Wildfire Explorer. The scattered showers that did arrive over the weekend, 4 to 0. 8 inches across parts of the fire zone, temporarily slowed fire behavior. They did not extinguish it. The Highway 82 fire went from 6% containment to still 6% containment. Officials also warned that lightning from incoming storms could ignite new blazes, further complicating containment efforts. Newsweek. The rain that is supposed to help could also make it worse, and the drought that created these conditions did not develop in April. It developed over 7 months. It will not resolve in a week of showers. So ask yourself 3 questions. Governor Brian Kemp stated this is the largest number of homes Georgia has ever lost to wildfires in state history. The cause was a children's birthday balloon on a power line in a county where every single firefighter is a volunteer, and where the forest floor had been primed to burn for 6 months by a combination of historic drought and Hurricane Helene debris. If all of those conditions have to align for a disaster of this scale, and they did align, what prevents them from aligning again next spring when the drought returns and the dead timber is still there? Wildfire Explorer. The Georgia Forestry Commission has now issued its first ever mandatory outdoor burn ban across 91 counties, the first in the agency's history. If a prohibition this unprecedented is the response to conditions that existed, what does it say about whether the warning systems and land management practices before this week were adequate for the world that Helene left behind? Wildfire Explorer. And if the 2 most dangerous wildfires in the United States right now are burning in a state most Americans do not associate with wildfire. Not California, not Arizona, not the American West, but Georgia and pine forest and swampland, fed by a hurricane that came through 18 months ago. What exactly does the map of wildfire danger in America still look like when we stop looking only where we have always looked? Right now, as you read this, the Highway 82 fire in Brantley County, Georgia is still burning. 22,615 acres, 6% contained. A mandatory curfew from 8:30 at night to 6:30 in the morning. Volunteer firefighters on their 3rd and 4th straight day on the line, some of them returning at night to neighborhoods where their own homes used to be. The Pineland Road Fire in Clinch County is still burning. 32,351 acres, 10% contained. Started by a welding spark on a gate. Fed by the same dead timber, the same drought, the same Helene debris. 54,000 acres, 120 homes. 91 counties under emergency. 4,000 homes still in the evacuation zone as of Friday. A burn ban without precedent in the state's history. A mother named Brittany Quinn checked her security camera from the evacuation shelter and watched her home burn on a 2-inch screen. 2 firefighters she didn't know had lost the same thing she lost, and they were still on the line the next morning. A foil balloon from a birthday party is now the documented cause of the most destructive wildfire in Georgia history. And the drought that made it possible, 15 inches below normal since September, has not ended. The red flag warnings are still posted. The pine forest is still dry. And somewhere in South Georgia tonight, the ground is still warm.